I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Good morning, family, and welcome to the International Saturday Morning Forum. We're streaming live on Facebook Live, and we're live on the Impact Network. Certainly, as every week, this week we have a lot to share with you. You're going to hear about our food justice program that is still going on at headquarters Monday through Friday. We are still giving away meals in the midst of this pandemic. We are surpassing, I believe, the 84,000 meal mark that we have given out since the beginning of this pandemic, and you'll hear more about that on this forum this morning. Certainly, we want to put an emphasis on early voting. In many states across the nation, early voting has already begun to start, and as we push toward the rest of September and into the beginning of October, early voting will be starting all across the nation. Early voting is going to be the key to this upcoming election as we go toward November the 3rd. So we want you to check your local listings, figure out when early voting starts in your neighborhood, in your state, in your city, and get involved with early voting. And let's make sure that we're voting in record numbers in this 2020 election. Certainly we want to, as always, push for you to join the Rainbow Push Coalition. It's only $15 a year for students, $15 for seniors, $35 for all of those in between. Certainly we want you to join this movement and to join this fight. Pushing for you is exactly what we do, okay? And so we need your help to continue doing that. We want you to go to rainbowpush.org and take out a membership and continue fighting and continue keeping hope alive.
Travel around the world, wide web, and learn a foreign language online. Start a puzzle you'll never finish. Video chat with your friends so they remember what you look like. Hey guys, take the 2020 census. It's fast, like less than 10 minutes fast. There's no better time than right now. While you're staying home and saving lives, make yourself count.
This week has been a very difficult week for members of the Push family. We've lost some serious support and icons. Many of you remember longtime activists, young activists, when he started. Mark Allen made his transition this week, and so we're dedicating this broadcast to our own Mark Allen. Fiery, robust, very talented young man. And then we're going to dedicate it also to Attorney Lawrence Kennan, one of the leading civil rights attorneys in the city of Chicago, state of Illinois. Became president of the Cook County Bar Association at one time. Never quit giving. Each and every week we share with you that we're pushing for you is what we do and it's what we do absolutely best. Well, I want you to know exactly what it is we're doing so that you can get involved, get engaged, and join this movement. This week you're going to hear from our various satellite offices, in particular our Southern Region office headed by Robert Patillo. He's going to talk to you a little bit about programs that our Atlanta office and that whole Southern region, what they're doing in terms of voter suppression, what they're doing with respect to farmers, black farmers, what they're doing with respect to some of the criminal justice issues that we face today. Also, you're going to hear from our Silicon Valley Project. 1,000 Churches Connected program is something that all of you who are watching, members of the faith community, you want to get your church connected to us. We're doing this major membership drive, but we're servicing you. We're providing you with information that will help your church engage in this new technology, really be trained on it. So you want to listen to that. I'm going to have a national field update. I know you've seen the news. You're wondering, have we been to Kenosha? Yes. Have we been talking to people in Rochester, New York? Yes. Have we been to Louisville, Kentucky? Yes. You're going to hear a national field report from our national field director, Bishop Tavis Grant. We have really a serious issue with respect to education, and so the Push Excel board member, Dr. Donna Leek, will share with us how it is these K-12 institutions in her school district as vice chair of the State Board of Education for Illinois. She'll just share some reopening issues and challenges and how they have, how school districts are addressing them. I know that parents, you're still concerned. You're wondering if you are a parent of multiple children, how do you manage this remote learning with 3 different grade levels or 4 different grade levels in your household? You're going to have to reimagine education, which requires a lot more parent involvement. Parental involvement is different in this world of technology. No longer are we able to just ship our kids to a building and then pick them up at a certain time. We now have to be more engaged, and so we're going to talk a lot about that. And these are just a few of the things. We're going to really talk a lot about voter suppression. All of these issues affect us today. And so, like I say, every week, pushing for you is what we do. We are pushing for change. We're pushing you to get involved. We're pushing you to register. We're pushing you to vote. We're pushing you to join the movement. Now is the time.
Enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th President of the United States. He will be the first African-American President of the United States.
I've been broke all my life, but I kept hope all them nights. You see business in my city? Yeah, they closed all them twice. I was just riding down Salem, all them damn potholes I can't drive. I know y'all can fix it faster, but I know y'all won't try. Don't nobody care about us, and that's why I don't vote. Voted for Obama back in 2012, I remember that's when I had hope. He was saying, yes, we can, and everybody got less food stamps. And when I turned 21, I was still broke, I'd never vote again. I don't think I ever had a president make my life better. Did it all on my own, ain't no politician ever do a nice gesture. I don't even know the mayor's name, I ain't never seen her one time ever. Tell me how she gonna help the city. What I'm supposed to do, write letters? What I'm supposed to do, blame Trump? He ain't never really gave a, ain't nobody raised minimum wage. None of these jobs pay enough. I think they just wanna keep us broke, cause they ain't putting nothing in place for us. This how all my people feel, but we gotta learn. We complained enough, let me change it up. Everything I just said, everybody I know think the same way. See, they don't wanna see us vote, and we never do, so we see the same thing. But all our votes really do count, and they'll never really let it show. So now I'm finna break it down, cause if I don't, you would probably never know. First thing first, you know back in middle school when they taught us, it was 3 branches of the government. We forgot it when we got older. It's the judicial, the legislative, and executive. But all we know is the executive. That's the mayor or the governor and the president. Now none of them 3 people make no laws, they just be checking them. The laws come to their desk and all they do is say no or yes to it. So when the news station tried to tell us that Barack Obama couldn't put us on, we was all salty at Obama when it was the Congress members all along. We gotta focus on the legislative branch, yeah, they the ones that make the laws. Yeah, they the ones write how much food stamp money you get on the card. But when people that wanted to help us wanted the job, I know they probably lost. Cause we ain't even know their name, we ain't know their face, we ain't know it all. So the Congress or the State House, that's legislative, they make laws. So what we want from the president is what they do, okay y'all? See, they election every 2 years, but we don't ever even go to those. The Congress, they can raise minimum wage, but we ain't even really know it though. So you know how back in 08, when we all voted for Obama, we was all supposed to go back in 2010 and vote for the Congress. Cause they the ones make child support laws, they the ones choose if your kids at school get to eat steak or corn dogs. The State House make the court costs. So if the country failed, then you can't say it's them, it's your fault. Cause y'all ain't know to vote for Congress members that was for y'all. And they don't gotta leave after 4 years, and we just let them sit. See, they don't wanna tell you this, they want you to focus on the president. Now the 3rd branch is the judicial, that's judges. They the reason why John Crawford and Trayvon ain't had justice. So when Meek Mill got locked up just for popping willies, we blame the judge and not the city when they let her get voted in, cause they ain't know who to vote against. Imagine life on the other side. Roads better, schools better, everybody get their license back, grocery store food better, custody of your kids back, homeless people get new shelters. If we gon' gonna fix the U.S., we gotta start with them 2 letters, me and you. Somebody told us that the government wanna keep us broke, but the only reason why those people in the government is cause we ain't vote. And I ain't talking about the president, I'm talking about the ones we ain't know. See, they was gonna try to keep it low, but it's gonna hurt them when they see the polls.
Every time you stay home, someone is making a decision about you, making decisions about the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food your kids eat, and how much money you bring home every 2 weeks. So every time you sit out an election, every time you don't show up because you think it doesn't matter, someone else is happy that you didn't show up, so they can make that decision for you. Vote.
Hi, I'm Illinois Controller Susana Mendoza, and I filled out my 2020 census. Have you filled yours out yet? If not, please get to work. Illinois needs you. Now, what happens if you don't fill out the census? For every person in Illinois who does not fill out their census, our state stands to lose about $18,000 per person over the next 10 years. That means less money for roads and bridges, for schools, for healthcare, for police and fire, for so many of the things that are important to this state. So please take the time. You matter. You need to be counted. Your family matters. They need to be counted. If you're watching this video, that means you're breathing, which means you must be counted in the census 2020. So look, get to work. You want to help out our state. You're bored with the pandemic. Fill out the census. It takes about 5 minutes. You can do it in your pajamas. Just make sure you do it. Super fast, super easy, and you'll feel like a superhero. What isn't there to love about this? Thanks and take care.
Will we fight? Will we fight?
The Illinois Nurses Association got a big boost on the picket lines today.
UIC didn't think it was coming, but we here. Let them hear you.
4,000 University of Illinois healthcare workers joined them as the strike enters its 3rd day.
We said that if we didn't get a fair contract, we would shut it down, and you're proving that right now by you all being out here.
The strike comes as the fight against COVID-19 continues and critical care is needed. Nurses are demanding smaller patient loads, better pay, and proper PPE.
This is the year of the nurse, and this is what we're going through. And after what we went through, to give us a hard time with negotiation because we want to be safe, come on.
I am honored to introduce you all to someone who has been in a fight for social, economic, and racial justice for decades, since before I was born. Someone who is true to their words, who I respect, and who I look up to, and that's Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Dr. King last Mr. Urban's fighting for garbage workers in Memphis, Tennessee. Workers deserve a living wage and job security. In one sense, it's on Pritzker's desk. He promised the workers. It's a Pritzker promise. It's a Pritzker promise. Pritzker promise. Pritzker promise. Under the promise. Under the promise. Sign the legislation. We're going to organize workers from Rockford, Kankakee, Springfield, East St. Louis, Danville. Say this is a state. This is a state issue. Healthcare workers, home care workers, workers who care. Must be organized everywhere. Upon this that you can serve the bus. You care for the sick, and when the parents cannot care for them, you care for them. You wipe their brows, give them their slop jars. No job is beneath you, yet you have to beg for proper equipment. And stood a patient worker ratio. You shouldn't have to work 18 hours. I should not have to work 18 hours a day. I should not. I should not have to work 18 hours a day. We're fighting today the student, patient, worker ratio. We're fighting for adequate equipment. Fighting for hours that make sense. We'll not give up. We'll not surrender. We'll fight back. This land is our land. We're going to fight back as long as it takes. We're going to strike and fight back and hold out one day longer. One day longer. One day longer. One day longer. When I was with Dr. King and he was killed in Memphis, Tennessee, I was asked to be mayor of the Resurrection City. I pulled up this campaign. Come on the back of the truck, workers, Dr. King had been killed, Robert Kennedy had been killed. Despair was everywhere. The workers looked at me to give them, I had no money, no bus fare. I said, I am somebody. Say, I am somebody. I am somebody. I am somebody. I'm a worker. Who cares? Never neglect me. Protect me. I am God's child. Save the workers. Save the children. Save the workers. Save the children. Care for the patients. Care for the workers. We are God's children. We will not give up. Keep hope alive. Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody, somebody. Illinois nurses, SIU, Rainbow Coalition, marching on. Every day, every way. Push the signs, legislature. Love you guys.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the National Field Director for the Rainbow Push Coalition. And I want to thank you for your support. The legacy and the life of Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson is on the move. And we're doing so many things, so many incredible things around the country. And I thank Reverend Jackson and the board of RPC for the opportunity and the privilege to serve as the National Field Director. You know, we've been involved across the country, whether it's been in Louisville, Kentucky with Breonna Taylor, George Floyd in Minneapolis, or in Kenosha with Jacob Blake. And most recently, we've had some of the most incredible meetings with legislators, with stakeholders, with non-for-profits, with grassroots organizations who have appealed and leaned to Reverend Jackson for his expertise in mobilizing and his expertise in connecting people in such a way that it's just really a gift to know that he still has that capacity and capability to bring about resolve and results. And we want to thank those persons across the country who've helped and aided and supported. And that's the reason why we need your support. Go to rainbowpush.org and join today. The legislators in the Black Caucus in Wisconsin, we're working in Rochester with African-American leaders and Mayor Lovely and others, because we cannot allow our country to go from civil unrest into civil war, because civil rights has always been about salvaging and making this a much more perfect union. Civil rights has always been about saving lives and not taking lives. It's always been about building up and not tearing down. It's always been about bringing people together, not separating them. And that's why Reverend Jackson has been so artful in telling us that we could do more together than we can separated. And so our national field operations are so critical to the lifeblood of the Rainbow Push Coalition. If you're a pastor, if you're over a non-for-profit, if you're a stakeholder in a community, and there is a need for us to consolidate and collaborate for such a time as this, I want you to dial the number on the screen. Go to www.rainbowpush.org and tell them you want to join 1,000 Churches Connected. We have any number of instruments and tools to aid and assist you and equip you to do the work of civil rights locally, regionally, and nationally. And so if you pastor a church, you're part of a community organization, or you just want to be a part of something that is on the move, I want you to go to www.rainbowpush.org, become a member today, but join the fastest moving civil rights organization in the country, the Rainbow Push Coalition. This is the National Field Director, Bishop Tavis Grant. And guess what? we're keeping hope alive.
Good morning. We are in the midst of a major drive to get more members, more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. If you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those incarcerated, change the policies that impact students attending colleges and universities. If you want to be a policymaker, then you need to join Rainbow Push and join by paying your $35 right now. Some of you watch us every week. You listen to us on the radio. You're viewing us on social media. We need you to become a member. It's only $35 a year. If you believe in the scholarships that we give to thousands of students each and every year, we've awarded more than $10 million to scholars year to date. What do you have to do to give and support Push? It's really very simple. You can go to rainbowpush.org if you're on a computer and press donate. Give any amount. Every dollar is important. You want to talk to somebody, call us at 773-256-2775. You can give right now, any denomination that you choose. You can text the word PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444. Text on your cell phone. Most of you have a cell phone. Just text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving. Or call us 773-256-2775, or go to rainbowpush.org and just press donate. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you.
Hello, I'm attorney Robert Patil. I'm the executive director of the Rainbow Push Coalition Southeast region in the Atlanta office here in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to give you guys a quick update on many of the things that we are working on here in Atlanta to ensure that you guys know what Push is doing nationwide to help steward and guide us through both the pandemic, the economic depression, and also the social justice activism and demands for an end to police brutality that are happening nationwide. Rainbow Push is uniquely positioned as a human rights organization to work through all of these fields and bring together a national organization to fight for particular advancements, regardless of where you are in the country. In Atlanta, one of the things that we've been working on, particularly, is police brutality in the wake of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, Georgia, the shooting of Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta, Georgia, the beating of Roderick Watkins in Clayton County, Georgia, two college students who were harassed and tased by police during marches and protests here in Atlanta. And so we've been working with a coalition of groups, including the NAACP, the Urban League, Saving Ourselves, other community organizations, to put together a rubric which seeks to work with the mayor and city leaders and also the governor and statewide leaders on reforming our criminal justice system. As you know, most of these laws exist on the state level. While we focus very much on the federal level and what's happening in Congress, these issues have to be effectuated at the state and local level. And we're working to ensure that we reform police policies, reform training, create new hate crimes legislation to protect the community, to try to ameliorate or in other ways reduce the violent actions against the Black community. In addition to this, we're also holding training programs through our Civil Rights Boot Camp with younger activists to explain to them the importance of legislative action. What separated the movement of Dr. King and the Big Six from many of the other movements during the Civil Rights era was their ability to effectuate legislative changes. There's a difference between simply marching and protesting and being able to pass a Civil Rights Act, a Voting Rights Act, Fair Housing, Public Accommodation, Title VII, Title IX, and the other suite of legislations which help to create a more perfect union. And what we want to help our young people who are active in protests is how to be active during committee meetings, how to be active under the Gold Dome during legislative session, how to be active at City Hall to ensure that we can make some of these ideals, parts of this movement, into actual legislative changes that create long-lasting corrections to governmental actions. In addition to this, Rainbow Push in Atlanta has been specifically very focused on the issues of healthcare with regards to COVID-19 in the Black community. We've put together an unprecedented collection of experts to discuss the response to COVID-19 with the Black community. Previously, we've had town halls, including our Public Health Committee of Dr. Deborah Verholden, Assistant Dean of Public Health at Michigan State University, Dr. Leon McDougall, who is the president of the National Medical Association, the nation's largest African-American medical association, to have discussions with people such as Francis S. Collins, who is the director of the National Institute of Health and who is directing the nation's response to this massive infection. Also, we've had conversations in town halls with Dr. Robert Redfield, who's the director of the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, to discuss the vaccine trials and the process of rolling such out going forward into the fall. On September the 22nd at 8 a.m., we'll be having our third part of this series with four-star United States Army General Gustav Perna, who is in charge and director of Operation Warp Speed, which is working towards the development of the coronavirus vaccine and its rollout into the community this fall. All of us have heard all the public health warnings saying that we will not be safe until there is an effective vaccine, which is rolled out nationwide to prevent a continued spike and continued outbreaks of coronavirus. So Director or General Perna is the person who's coordinating these efforts nationwide and will be participating in a town hall meeting with the Rainbow Push with Dr. Verholden and Dr. McDougall on September 22nd. Additionally, on October 5th, we will be having the fourth part of our healthcare town hall series with Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's part of the coronavirus task force. So when you see the briefings with President Trump, Dr. Birx, Dr. Fauci is the director, was the chief infectious disease expert of the United States of America. He worked on the AIDS epidemic. He worked on Ebola in the 90s and again in the 2010s. He worked on SARS in the early 2000s. He worked on the MERS epidemic. He is the person who is the leading expert in the world, in fact, on containing the spread of pandemics and these viruses. And we'll be having a conversation with us on October the 5th at 2 p.m. With our panel to discuss particularly how this works for the African-American community. We have to ensure not only that African-Americans are part of the testing process to ensure that the virus or that any vaccine is actually effective, given the comorbidities in the African-American community, given the genetic differences within racial populations. So we want to make sure that we are represented in those trials. And also, once an effective vaccine is rolled out, we have to ensure that there's access to it for all communities, that we aren't simply giving the cure, giving the vaccine to the rich and well off. What we've seen in the NBA bubble and the NFL, people with money and people with means have ways to exist despite coronavirus. They have the proper treatment, ventilators, PPE. You're able to defeat this virus with money. So we want to ensure that those of us who live in the regular world, in the regular community, are fully taken care of and have full access to all the medical advancements that are going on currently. Additionally, the Rainbow Push at Atlanta will be holding our 21st annual Creating Opportunities Conference on October 8th and 9th. This year will be a virtual conference that will take place over Zoom. You'll be able to register at rainbowpushatlanta.org and also rainbowpush.org. And we will have discussions including Black farmers. There's an epidemic in this country of Black farms going out of business, not having access to markets, not having access to governmental resources. Over the past several months, we've been holding sessions with Black farmers and also elected officials, including Congressman Sanford Bishop, Congressman David Scott, the United States Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Farm Bureau. And the reason it's important to bring together these diverse sets is that our community is never hit with simply one storm at a time. We are never dealing with one fight. So while we're also fighting against a pandemic which disproportionately affects the African American community, we're fighting against an economic depression where 60 million people are out of work, which is particularly hard hitting the Black community, as our unemployment rate is always double what the general population's unemployment rate is. In addition to this, we're being hit with a foreclosure and a eviction crisis, which is being staved off by governmental action, but but it's coming, and many people do not have a lifeline to survive this. We're also being hit by a student loan crisis. The people who went to school, who did the right thing, who got the degrees, now though, as the economy is in downturn, it's very difficult to make those student loan payments. There's governmental action which is delaying those payments through the end of the year, but we have to plan for what happens thereafter. So we try to make sure the Rainbow Push is in all of these conversations, as they say in Hamilton, that we're in the room where it happens. And so that we're representing our communities and ensuring that we have access to all the resources possible, and we can give you the proper information. For more information on these, as I said, visit us at rainbowpushatlanta.org. Follow us on social media. Feel free to email myself, rpatillo at rainbowpush.org, or Trina Heathington, Heathington at rainbowpush.org, our program coordinator for the Atlanta office. And as always, keep hope alive.
Hi, I'm Todd Yeary here outside Dr. King's workshop, the Rainbow Push headquarters, where people of goodwill from all walks and all places gather as comrades in the movement for justice and equality. Social justice movements have been birthed in the imaginations of people in places just like this. You can be a part of this justice movement too. Join Rainbow Push as we fight for justice in the 21st century. Go to rainbowpush.org or dial 773-FREEDOM, and remember, keep hope alive.
Greetings, friends. This is Dr. Joseph Bryant Jr. I'm the executive director of the Rainbow Push Silicon Valley Bay Area Project, and also the director of Push Tech 2020. And let me just say to you, during these very challenging times, we are blessed that our leader has made sure that you and I understood the significance of technology, of digital resources, and he has made a commitment to us to ensure that every opportunity will be afforded us to survive in this nuance that we call the tech world. None of us knew that we would be in this space where we would have to shift our entire reality into a virtual reality. None of us knew years ago that we would have to move into this painful pandemic and then adjust the way we do everyday life. However, because of the heart and passion of Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, he wanted to make sure that people of color, the minority community, those that are underserved and oftentimes left out of opportunities, had every access to every resource made available so that we could keep up with the times, that we could make sure we were getting the best of education, the best economic opportunities, the best of employment. And so we've made these inroads to Silicon Valley over the past several years. And Reverend Jackson started this over 20 years ago. He met with Silicon Valley leadership back in the 90s. He met with them. He met with the Steve Jobs of the world and the Bill Gates of the world. He met with the leaders of Google as they were just birthing their organization, HP and Intel as they were evolving into these mega companies beyond where they were just doing computers on a desktop, where they were moving into this new virtual world that has become the tech world that all of us now enjoy, but we also are employed right here on a day-to-day basis. Here we are working from home. Here we are doing church from home. Here we are now on everybody's screen doing what we do. None of us understood at that time that we would ever need technology this badly. But 5 years ago, when we started Push Tech 2020, 2020 wasn't just about a 5-year vision or a ramp up to 5 years. It was about vision. It was about seeing ourselves as participants, seeing ourselves as owners, seeing ourselves as creators, seeing ourselves as the individuals that could participate beyond just having a cell phone and going on Twitter and going on Instagram, but really having jobs and having the ability as entrepreneurs and business owners and as leaders in the tech world to be decision makers. It was Reverend Jackson who met with leadership, and I want to thank him for including myself along with the phenomenal Butch Wing as we sat at the table and discussed with tech leaders, how can we make this industry better? How can we engage, Reverend Jackson would ask, in order for us to get better pipelines to HBCUs, more funding into minority communities? How can we build tech centers in urban areas where they don't have access to Wi-Fi and broadband? And so 5 years later, the pandemic hits. And guess what? Many of us were ready only because Reverend Jackson prepared us in advance. Of course, none of us want to live in a virtual world. We don't want to stay in a box. We don't want to stay sheltered in place. But since we are, thank you, Reverend Jackson, for making sure that Push Tech 2020 pushed technology for all of us so that the faith community can now be online and have YouTube services, so that our underserved minority families, they now have access to Wi-Fi. They have access to Wi-Fi in their homes for their children to go online to learn. Our seniors don't have to be isolated and insulated as they shelter in place. They're able to go online and speak to their doctors and order their medicines. They have a comfort level with technology because your vision allowed for us to go into these churches and to community centers and to be able to speak to them about technology with the help of the tech companies that have been our supporters. And we thank you all for that so much. And we're going to celebrate this year, even though it's going to be a different kind of year. Push Tech 2020, our annual summit. It's our 5-year anniversary, and we're going to have it virtually. We're still going to celebrate 5 years of progress, 5 years of pipelines, 5 years of impact, 5 years of opening doors, 5 years of adding more board seats that have minorities and women, 5 years of more diversity and inclusion positions, 5 years of being able to see an industry embrace the creative genius of people of color and women so that we can all contribute to this digital world. And here we are now, all living in the digital world. And so October 22nd and 23rd, I want you to be right here with me. I want you to join us for our annual summit, our Push Tech 2020 Summit. We're going to do some amazing things this year. We've already been set up because we've been doing technology so long. It's a technology-based conference, and we're going to maximize the experience for you. Not only we're going to celebrate the 5-year journey, we're also going to celebrate the 60-year journey that Reverend Jackson has been on in civil rights and the 79 years of life on this planet. October is his birthday month, and so we're going to celebrate him in some real ways, but we're also going to provide resources to you because as we continue to manage the madness of this moment and try to do all we can to remain sheltered in place while we're just seated in grace, we want to make sure you have what you need in your home, in your church, in your small business, and even in your corporation to be most effective. In the age of Black Lives Mattering, we know that Black Lives Matter in tech, especially as we make sure all of you have access to technology, have the ability to do what you need to do, and continue to thrive, stay connected, stay engaged, stay with one another. Because really, we are not, my friends, we are not in a position where we are socially distanced, we're just physically distanced. And so here I am to speak to you, to thank Reverend Jackson for his leadership and his vision, to thank Rainbow Push and Push Tech, and we're going to see you October 22nd and 23rd. Join us for Push Tech 2020, 5-year anniversary. See you there.
I'm Teresa Griffin.
My name is Melina Bobadilla.
Hi, this is Cesar Rowland.
Erica from the South Side of the Chi.
I'm Asia from Chicago.
Hi, I'm Andrea Saab.
¿Qué tal? Soy David Miranda.
DJ Bulu Master. Just finished doing the census.
You probably got one of these in the mail.
Right here. I just completed my 2020 census.
I did it right away because I didn't want to miss the chance to ensure more funding comes to our neighborhood,
as well as the proper legislative representation. We deserve it.
Your presence adds to the city's vitality and culture and to its financial resources as well.
In 2010, some states actually lost seats in the U.S. House of Representatives, while others gained them, all based on the data collected in the census.
Yeah, your community needs you.
Remember, if you're not counted in, we'll be counted out.
Your community needs you.
So go ahead. We have all the time in the world. It's not spam in the mail.
It's gonna take a couple of minutes of your time.
Read it. Fill it out.
Tell everybody to fill out the census because it's only gonna benefit you and your community.
Fix your neighborhoods, get the proper money, get the proper representation, and
go to 2020census.gov.
Two great thinkers made the most precious investment half a century ago. Those visionary brokers, Dr. King and Dr. Nkrumah. It was the relationship between them that would last forever. We now have the year of return. Just as you have tried to build for other people, Africa has done the same around the world with our resources. The problems you face here, we face in Africa. The only missing link is our collaboration. Call it Joseph made Moses moment, if you would. We must now all gain from Africa's investment. That is why Dr. King was invited to Ghana in 1957 by my first prime minister. Africa loves America because our brothers and sisters are here. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah knew that, and he found brother in Dr. King when they both attended Lincoln University. We are now 1.3 billion people in Africa, or 4 times the size and population of the US. Those who think Africa is poor, the biggest mobile money market by transaction value in Africa is in Africa, beating China with 160 billion annually and growing, driven mainly by those digital banking geniuses in Kenya, my brothers and sisters with M-Pesa. Digital Africa mobile money banking will outpace and outrun Europe and the Middle East in no time. The rest of Africa has an abundance of real tangible commodities. Africa is not the Wild Wild West. There are a lot of American companies operating in Africa, such as Citibank, Exxon, Microsoft, Google, UPS, FedEx, and others. Our physical integrity and relationship equity is priceless. Black America has always had an advantage, great advantage in Africa, but because of the lack of the right relationship and the knowledge of the continent, you are left out. We can fix that together. We are family, an investment family with huge economic potential if we put our efforts into it. Our fight has to be about social and economic equity. Investment is not always in the form of money. It is our labor, our time, intellectual property, and the prosperity, support from family, friends, and followers of our faith who invest in hope, like John Lewis, Mandela, George Padmore, Ezekiel Nnamdi Nkrumah, Obama, Kaepernick, P.L.O. Lumumba, Bobby Wine, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend Jesse Jackson has inspired so many of us Africans when we fell down with Keep Hope Alive. The best investment is in that hope in each other, Black, brown, all who help build relationship equity. I am somebody that pays dividends forward. Don't sit on the sidelines and wonder what is happening in Africa and be left behind once again. After more than half a century of waiting, in some great serendipitous way, our ancestors and our good God above worked it out. 55 African countries signed the largest, potentially most lucrative free trade agreement. This is the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, headquartered in Ghana, the door of return and the year of return birthplace. In it, we are defining the Africa we want, and it has to be with our brothers and sisters. Those of us who live in communities with you, and now U.S. citizens as well as citizens of our country of birth, you came here first, you toiled and you suffered. We appreciate your sacrifice of the past and the one you're still making now. But our collective future can be so different. It is time we realize that we all need each other. Black America is now 46 million people with over 1.3 trillion in buying power. We are ready to implement the financial part of Dr. King's dream. He inspires us with other words from his I Have a Dream speech, which we as Africans from the continent equally believe in and have been inspired by since 1963. And I quote, "We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. And so we have come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice." Quote end. This is the vision of Pan-Africanism that Dr. Kwame shared with the dream of Dr. King way back in 1957 at the witness of the birth of a nation. We are ready for the dream and vision to be fully implemented because the African Union declared the African diaspora as the CIS region. What does this mean? Africa in the diaspora, such as African Americans and Africans everywhere outside of Africa, are the CIS region of the African Union. You are part of this, the vision of Dr. Kwame, and that dream of the King will live on forever. Let's invest in each other.
Hello, this is Dr. Donna Simpson-Lee, Superintendent of Community Consolidated Schools District 168, located in Sauk Village, Illinois. I also serve as the Vice Chair of the Illinois State Board of Education. And it is September 2020, and just wanted to do a quick just update in terms of reopening of schools and where we are as of today. So many of you all may know, especially my parents, that back in the winter, we did a survey of our families to determine who still needed access to devices if we needed to go remote. And we did provide devices in the spring for all of our students because we did, as you all know, in March of 2020, we went remote. But subsequently, we did a great deal of work to be ready for what this school year might look like. So with that in mind, we ran a virtual summer school. We surveyed our families again in June to determine who still needed devices, who needed internet access, and from that, we ordered Chromebooks for every single student in our district. We also ordered hotspots, and in particular for families who needed internet access or who have multiple children and needed additional internet access. So that was done over the summer to be prepared. And like many school districts, we set up a COVID-19 task force that had parents, teachers, clerical staff members. We had board members, administrators. We had about 65 people, and we met on a weekly basis. And from that task force, we actually were able to determine all of the personal protective equipment that we needed. So that would be masks, gloves, plexiglass for our main offices, plexiglass for student desks. We even worked through what it might look like if students are there in a desk with the plexiglass and they need their personal space, even what that would be taped, even how that might be taped off on the ground, even the decals on how far to stand apart if you're in the building. So we met over the course of the summer, and initially in June, about 60% of our parents were looking for some kind of in-person option. But by the time we got to the end of July, almost 80% of our parents were requesting remote. So with that in mind, we quickly pivoted to what remote would look like. And what that included was we would bring our staff into the building, and that helped us because it ensured that our staff had a stable internet so that as they were meeting with students, that meeting would not be interrupted by internet access. So all of our staff comes into the building and they're in their own classroom with their computers there, and their students are piped in remotely. And they have access to all the materials they need, the resources, administrators, our tech team, whatever their needs are. So that's how we decided we would start our school year. We disseminated to all of our students, each individual child, a Chromebook. We also disseminated to families hotspots, and we actually just got more hotspots in last week for those who still needed some. We also brought into our buildings our students who needed occupational therapy, physical therapy, or speech pathology. And part of that is because we felt like it was imperative that if those children needed 60 minutes a week, that we could schedule them for in-person so that they could come in and receive those needed special education services. One of the questions I was asked was, what happens if a teacher is absent? So we actually have substitutes that we utilize that come into the building, and they are in that teacher's classroom, and they provide the services for our students as if the students were in person. We also have worked very diligently with our custodial services and making sure that our buildings are sanitized daily. In the morning and in the evening, and that classroom doors are basically sealed to say this room has been sanitized, so that when a teacher comes in the morning, they are aware that my room was sanitized overnight and we're safe and ready to go. Right now, we are in the middle of doing all of our activities, large activities, virtually. We've held virtual town hall meetings where we've had almost 100 people at a time to register and come and ask questions and participate. I've done my parent coffees. Our principals are doing their parent coffees. We did our open house virtually and actually had a great turnout. Our staff was really amazed at the number of parents who were actually able to access their classroom through the virtual turnout. We use the Google Suite like many school districts do, And we're finding that the more that our teachers learn about it, the more they understand it, the more support they give one another, the better our students are doing. So in general, we've been working in this virtual environment since we opened. Our students started on August 19th. We had remote learning planning days on August 17th and 18th, and we've been open all this time. We will be, of course, reevaluating based on science, based on the numbers, based on the positivity or the positivity rates in this area. But at the end of all of this, what's really important is that our staff has been flexible, we've been nimble, we've been able to pivot and make decisions quickly and not really miss a beat, and ensuring that whether our students are in person or if they are at home in a remote environment, that we're providing whatever services they need. Our social workers are still providing minutes. Our counselors are providing minutes. They're doing lunch bunches with our children. We're still doing our community circles in the morning. We're still doing physical education. Our junior high students are still going from class to class through the Google Suite application. We're still providing homework. We're still, we're doing our assessments. We've set up schedules for those assessments to be put into place with proctors and small group settings. We're still able to do breakouts and interventions in the classrooms. So I think District 168 is we are moving forward and reconvening to think about where do we go next. We're in a great space. At the same time, whatever supports that you still need, please visit our website, our Facebook page, email, whatever supports you need. And always, I'm available at DLEAK, that's D-L-E-A-K, at d168.org. Again, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being your superintendent. I've loved every minute of it, and this challenge has really impacted me in the moment that I know that we are all in the right place at the right time, and we're the right people to meet this moment and really ensure that we are growing to our greatest capacity. Thank you.
It was the oldest black church in Birmingham, and it was fairly large. And so it made sense that meetings would happen there, which would also make it a target. On Sunday morning, September 15th, it was Youth Day, right after Sunday school. Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robinson, Denise McNair, and Cynthia Wesley are getting ready to go into the choir.
I remember Addie, I was closest to Addie. We would go to church picnics. Addie and I just gravitated to each other.
Cynthia Wesley was a friend of mine. She was at my school. She was a 9th grader. Just started in September, and I was an 11th grader.
I remember Denise back there always smiling, and she was the only child. And I remember Carol Robinson being quiet. She played in the orchestra at her school.
Addie Mae's sister Sarah is also in that ladies' lounge. Sarah said the last thing that she remembers is seeing them helping each other tie on sashes, and then it went dark. We're talking about an explosion that reverberates through the entire city of Birmingham. Everybody heard it.
I was at South Illerton Baptist Church, and our pastor was shifting kind of nervously across the room and said he had received word that 16th Street Baptist Church had been bombed.
I was in Sunday school class. The building seemed like it was shaking off its foundation. Fumes, smelling fumes, and getting hit in the head. I couldn't find my younger sister. Only later to find out that she was taken to the hospital. She was only 4. She was cut in the head, blood dripping down her clothes and down her face.
Reverend John Cross comes down after the explosion to go into the hole and hears moaning.
My father heard somebody saying, Addie, Addie, and he realized that Sarah was calling her sister's name because that's the last voices that she heard before the explosion occurred.
They find the bodies, and they're almost literally stacked on top of each other.
He said they looked like they had been blown together.
It devastated me. It was just so painful to know that these girls were killed at church. They had not done anything to deserve something like that.
That was enough to pull people off the fence. Kids are supposed to be safe at church. This is not supposed to happen in America. We're above this kind of thing. And so this was the catalyst to get some things moving.
They used to say we were just 3/5 of a man, and we had to fight to be fully recognized. Back then, being counted meant marches, pickets, jail cells, and worse. One way you can show we count in less than 10 minutes is to take the 2020 census. Be a warrior for your community. Be counted and make certain adequate funds and political representation are allocated to your state and your neighborhood. Just select one of these easy options. By phone, call 844-330-2020. Online at mycensus2020.gov or simply mail in your survey. Never forget, you are somebody. Don't delay. Take the census today.
I am somebody.
Dr. Kim, I went to jail with a group of 7 students, July 17, 1960, almost 60 years ago. We never stopped moving. I lost a few of jail cells and death. We never stopped moving. I thought it was time to write some of it down so the older generation can learn how we did and what we did and how global it was. Whether speaking about Mandela in South Africa, India, Qatar, Gandhi in India, here at home. This book tells the story, so please get it, so give it to your friends. Read it, let's argue about it, let's discuss it.
Yep, so the book is Keeping Hope Alive, Sermons and Speeches of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. It's quite a good collection. You know, we've got sermons and speeches from around the globe because you have made such a global impact, not just here in the U.S., but around the world.
Thank you for tuning in to our International Saturday morning broadcast. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select PUSH for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
Get involved with the movement.
Somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Join the movement.
If you're not a member, become a member.
I am somebody.
Fighting the most important battles for freedom and justice for all.
You made us change. Oh, trying to bring closer.
Join Rainbow Push.